Frog's gay. Guys, Alex Jones wasn't right about that. The frogs weren't turned gay. Frogs were naturally hermaphroditic a long time ago. Frogs phase in and out of gayness the exact same way global cooling, warming works. You're looking at a solar minimum, right? That causes these peaks. And during the peaks, people freak out. This is lunacy, but it's solar-cy. If you've been reading my stuff, you're like, oh my God, James, you're right. Solar-cy. We are only conscious of how the moon turns us into werewolves. We have only begun to see what the fuck the sun is doing to our crazy localness, our locality. So Alex Jones, he was wrong about the gay frogs. He was wrong about Sandy Hook. Did I just say that? Yeah, he was wrong about Sandy Hook. Guys, some of you really rode the Sandy Hook train in here. And in here meaning just in your journey into Truth Mountain. And I'm glad you came. I'm glad you came in through that. I think looking at that stuff is profound as fuck. I think it's more important than you think. I've actually taught me about the FBI. And Alex Jones was wrong about that. His theory not only was wrong, it was asinine. It was so asinine that he's paying out the ass for it. Excuse me, he's paying out the ass for it. And truthers are never going to come back and say, oh, we were wrong about that. And it's this lack of going back to say that, which I think is giving us our most blindness. Notice I'm using the word us. I'm talking about we. I think that this schizophrenic journey into listening to people like Alex Jones is a shamanic journey into the self of you, the Quaternion identity. Sorry, I'm going to stop bringing that up. But it's the 4 axes that define your identity. And the only way you could define your identity is if all of us hadn't agreed upon omphalos, the navel of the world, this center point. So in my mind, the fact that you are believing or not believing anything that Alex Jones says or not says is actually more just a definition of you. It's not a fault. It's sort of like saying, well, that's the wrong song. You've got the wrong song. You're listening to the wrong song. So please don't look at this world in this, you have to know this and you have to know that, because you're surrounded by a lot of people in the truth community that will get angry at you for doubting their narrative. Guys, do you not see the hypocrisy there? And all of us have taken a Hippocratic oath. What we lack is informed consent when we're in the hospital. These stories are ripping some of us apart. And this invisceration is part of why you're here. It's actually on purpose. And I hate to brag, but I've been right about a lot of shit. I'm still right about this. I've been telling you guys that the enemy is not who you think it is, that there's this proverbial they, that truly this is not a battle between good and evil. It's a battle between you and the lack of you. And that's more than a t-shirt slogan, more than a fortune cookie that would blow you away. This truly does define that you are surrounded by a war over unconsciousness. There is a battle star fort. The Death Star of America is the Pentagon, as you'll see, and the Pentagon has it's a big building. It's the largest fort we have. Excuse me, I'm jumping ahead here, but it's the largest fort we have. America's largest star fort is America's largest employer, and this is the world's largest office building. This is a star fort, and we like to romanticize star forts. I still want you to romanticize star forts. I've written a screenplay about giants in a star fort, all those things. And it's important that you exercise your right to play on the jungle gyms of all these ideas, because if you didn't, I think you end up being a fascist. You end up being too afraid to consider things, and more importantly, too afraid to be wrong. I think we're suffering from that. I discuss this a lot in the sense that I think we need to learn how to accept that we lie to ourselves all the time. And I think people want to lie about that. They're like, that's not true. And I'm just like, well, you've just proved my point. There's a point and you just proved it. So, Alex Jones has been wrong. And I think one of the biggest things that he was able to capitalize on inside the mythology is honestly the war on globalism, that there's a globalistic threat. Guys, I think this is really what's screwing us up. And this is not a push to come back into normalcy. I think normalcy is a pretty weird exit ramp, okay? I don't hang out there. There's a lot of psychopaths hanging out at exit ramps and rest stops. And some of you, maybe you're like, I can walk my dog there. That's fine. But also, this is like primal hunting ground for the Little Red Riding Hoods, the land of the sheep. This is this new theory I have. There's no such thing as wolves. All of us are sheep that turn into wolves. And we're allowed to turn into wolves as long as each of us insists that we're sheep. This is Versipellis, some of the ancient magic of Rome. All of us are wizards. Only some of us will refuse to call ourselves muggles, basically. And so we end up lying to ourselves. Alex Jones is the Goblin King. He really showcases this well. But more importantly, he gives you the ability to define yourself. The popularity of these messages, right now, it's a big soul trap. A lot of people are way into that. Personally, I think the soul trap is listening to people that call it a soul trap, and I'll be right again. I will be right about this again, and I will not be quiet about it. I'll probably make a fucking stream where I'm like, hey, I was right again. You guys should hit like because I was right again. But maybe it's not about the globalists. This is really my point. Maybe this has been the Death Star. Star Wars, the Death Star, that Star Fort was a battle of the rebel terrorist alliance that we have to root out. You're looking at all the stormtroopers. These are the stormtroopers that get to show their face. You go on the bridge. They're all wearing gray. They're sarcastically sort of dressed as Nazis, right? You've got the Red Imperial Guard. You've got all the elements there to define this thing. And God is giving you a great opportunity to play this game. And a lot of you guys are choosing the wrong side. And not even the wrong side. Because when I started to notice that people like to cosplay as stormtroopers, my first inkling was like, how do you do that? Like, and this is why I'd be a horrible actor. Actors are kind of like prostitutes, but with their beliefs. They spread their beliefs. They open their hoo-has to the eternal story that you want to tell them, and they'll just spit out whatever you say. They'll fake whatever orgasm. They'll do whatever it is to please you. And this is a very special thing. People like to prostitute their own minds, and we're not ready to meet it yet. It's kind of like the lunacy and the solar sea. The sun makes us go crazy. I was right about this too. No one else has told you, hey, did you know when we dug up Mexico in the year 2012, we found Templo Mayor, and it told this story of this strange pyramid, and on this strange pyramid, this dude in a red and white shirt would sacrifice this Lady Liberty that had bells literally sewn into her cheeks, and that blood was poured down this pyramid. And as long as people came and looked at the pyramid and noticed how disgusting all the blood was, and that this land, this country would only survive if the government could keep pushing people into a red or a blue house. You'll see on the left, it's literally a temple of Thalak on the left, the global warming crowd, the people that are terrorized about global warming, and the people on the right, the people that are terrorized about terrorism. And you bring up the hearts. People go to Washington. Mr. Magoo goes to Washington. I'm sorry, there's some famous movie, Mr. Something goes to Washington, and people lose their heart because they realize it's all corrupt as fuck. And that this is the engine. This is the Death Star engine. The Aztec culture could not function without flower wars. We've discussed this. The Pentagon literally has the eternal flame, the exact same things that existed in Aztec culture. And I'm telling you this because I want you to feel better. I'm telling you this because I want you to realize this facade that there's a white man globalist agenda, that it's even inside that genre. This is not the thermocline. This is the top layer. This is the foam of the ocean. The thermocline is much deeper, and it resonates with the symbology of pure hermeticism. You are living inside a sarcastic closet that is just beating the shit out of you until you start to play. This is Narnia, bitches. This is Narnia, and the silver chair means something. The Dawn Treader is taking you on a voyage, and you are resisting because you're insisting we have to listen to this thing. We have to worship this thing. One of the most beautiful things the Iroquois told you, again, I was right about this. We start looking at Tadaho. We started doing this a year ago. You start looking at these myths. We found Mixcoatl, this strange Aztec god that looks like Uncle Sam. And he literally says, well, I'm supposed to give birth to a bunch of hearts, and those hearts are supposed to be sacrificed to defend the homeland, and that's what makes the country grow. And I'm telling you this because this is beyond globalism. This is below globalism. This is the turtle shell. This is the psionic chamber of the turtle shell resonating. You've seen that, right? You take a plate, you put sound into it. It creates these patterns that you would not expect to be there, but the acoustic patterns show, and that turtle shell is showing you that these same archetypes existed long before George Bush got here, long before Rothschild. Even back in the day, you've got a Mexico City building its government on a swamp, and here in Washington, D.C., we're building it on a swamp because this is a star fort. It's a star fort, and people love star forts. And people cosplay stormtroopers because they love star forts. Star forts give us everything we need. Jobs. Mr. Smith goes to Washington. Thank you, Rachel Holmes. Appreciate that. We got jobs. We got jobs. That's what the flower wars are for. We got jobs. We got jobs. We have a star fort. Our star fort's bigger than your star fort. Look at us. We got a star fort. We're going to pretend to run a plane into the star fort. And then you got fearmongers. You're so stupid because you think the earth is this. Or you're so stupid because you think this works. Or you fell for the narrative because you showed emotion when someone got shot in the face. You're hypnotized because you have emotional resonance. You're hypnotized by your fucking NPC because someone got shot in the face and you believed it. You're the one that's the problem because the psychopaths are coming to get us. But you're showing emotion, which means you're the enemy because people with emotion are enemies. And I covered this last week. I was looking at the ethos of the word pathetic, and I'm like, holy shit, this is pathos. Why is pathos a bad word? And I put on my ancient Greek hat and I journey back and I try and avoid the purple eyes because they're like, Jesus wants to sexually assault Mother Mary. And I'm like, yeah, let's keep going. We got a lot to cover here. And you try and get back to the origin of pathos, and it's like this reverence term for one who's able to feel emotion. The orthography. The orthographer was the one you would call in and go, look, I need your emotions here. This is fucked up, right? This is fucked up. And you're living in a culture that insists it's not fucked up. You're living in a culture that insists that if you show any emotion, you are one of them. And I'm just like, bitches, I think it works the other way. I think we should like, if anything, we need a psychopathic jaguar to run in the village, and then we need to shoot the people that don't jump. We need to shoot those people. We need to really have a look at what it means to be rational, to be calm, to be collected. If you are inside a fence, you are collected, my friends. If you are predictable, you are rational. If you are compliant, you are subservient and obedient. All of these phrases are a vibrational tune that keeps you in this era where you just don't move, where you're just like, I'm just going to not move because I'm fucking lit. And we call these people woke. It's a lot. It's a lot. And if anyone who's preaching you fear, I need you to understand that the ones that are preaching you fear are wanting you to see less, not more. Something else I was right about. I still am. There's actually been more science that's backed this up, is this idea of aperture. I've told you aperture is a muscle. A lot of you guys were just like, well, we're going to turn this into like some kind of sodomy reference. And it's like, yeah, you're afraid of the fucking truth too. Fear closes the eye and triggers signal inflammation. Pushing fear advocates blindness. Sight is a function of digestion, says James True. The body cannot digest new things in a state of shock. It can't. Information remains bloated. The subject becomes immobilized and slowly sheds energy. You shed energy. 2 steps forward, wait 15 minutes. Those 15 minutes, you were stressing. You were waiting. You were waiting. You were calm. You were rational. And you were shedding all that energy. Beware the fearmongers, says me. Beware the fearmongers. Just don't beware them too much. Don't fear. I'm telling you, I don't want you to fear the fearmongers, because you're gonna get into this weird matrix, and you're gonna have to kill me to get out. It's gonna be like on Superman, and I put you in. I don't mean to do that. When I say don't fear the fearmongers, let's rephrase that. Don't overly fear the fearmongers. I want you to kind of be slightly curious. Let's be curious, the fearmongers. This is why I don't sell shirts, guys. This is why. How do you convey this message to a 2-year-old? Not a 2-year-old. 2-year-olds probably more aware of what's going on, honestly, right now. So we'll just forgive me, 2-year-olds. 2-year-olds watching the show. Sorry about that. I'm just like pathetic. I apologize to the gods of pathos. I'm going to really try to not use that in a disparaging way, because that's not what pathetic means. Pathos would be the mimetic of pathos, right? Mimetic. That's not a bad word, right? It's not. It's the emanation of pathos. Guys, pathetic means the emanation of pathos. Pathetic means compassionate. And you're living in a world that's got that all figured out because Alex Jones is apparently right. And he wasn't right. He's never been right. Guys, if this was really about globalists, if this was all we'll get to this. Wait, I need to go back. Don't look. Okay, now look. This is not about globalists. If this is another thing where I'm right, and people are just like, you're too much, you're fucking best apocalypse ever, James, you don't understand shit. And I'm just like, no. I'm right and it doesn't feel good. That's the problem. I'm right and it doesn't feel good. And you know what else I was right about? It's not about the globalists. Guys, if there was a secret cabal or a not so secret cabal, the 13 Catholic virgin mothers that get pregnant in a black ops ceremony and wear a black dress, and then they all give birth at the same time. It's really quite profound. You know how hard it is to get women to ovulate, especially evil black witches that are like satanically sacrificed when they're born. They're raised, and you know how this works. And then the billionaires come, and then they come, and then they're impregnated. Then the 13 pregnant chicks are put in a circle, and all of them place their hoo-hoos in the center. And you know this, right? I mean, you know this, right? And then they all give birth at the same time somehow. It's amazing. And then the 13 are placed into sort of like a cockfight thing, the infant cockfighters, and they have to eat each other. They don't feed them until one of them eats the others. And then as soon as one of them eats the others, that's the new overlord. And then David Icke is like, okay, we got it. And then he's like, hey, I want you guys to vote in the primary, but also the world's controlled by spider reptilians, and this chick is their queen. And that's not getting us anywhere. It's not allowing you to have any kind of power. It's actually suppressing your power. These things are suppressing your power. And I'm telling you that if this was really run by overlords, why are the overlords so fucking retarded? Guys, 1,000 points of disillusionment is spreading throughout the land. The city on top of the hill has done nothing but undermine every single teat that is attached to the nipple of our great whore, and has told them, you better let go. There is not a single person on the left or the right that trusts government policy, thanks to these people. This is 1,000 points of disillusionment. It is the sinister lighthouse. It is showing you and all of our brethren what a horrible idea it is to think that this is the answer. This is the most anti-globalist system I've ever seen, and we don't get to give it credit. This is not 5D chess, my friends. I know that some of you are like, Trump's playing 5D chess. Trump is playing unconscious chess. Do you want to know who the fuck is playing 5D chess? It's Gaia. That bitch is playing 5D chess. She said I could call her that bitch. She did. You can ask her. She said that. She likes that term. You guys, 5G love is like a love for Predator 2. It's a love for all hate. I don't have the capacity for that. I can hold 5G love maybe for like 3 seconds, but I slip way down into like 4G love is about the most I can like max out for like an extended period of time. This is the loving of anonymous humanity. Many of you exhibit that too. You go to church, you're in 4G, right? But this 5G is, you have to love the evilness too. And the only way you're going to really understand and love this evilness, quite frankly, is you have to get into the digestion mode. Sorry, I'm jumping around. You have to get back in the digestion mode. Are you digesting this environment properly? You have a sympathetic nervous system that kind of gets tight. You have a parasympathetic nervous system that's able to eat. You salivate. You digest food. You let down your guard, and you are able to digest information. Technically, you're food light, right? Your gastroluminescence is eating the light of food, and that food is being compressed by the muscles, and it's giving off that light. It's just your eyes are burned so much by the strength of the electromagnetic spectrum outside that you don't see it. But there are people that would watch you eat and would see the colors blooming from your belly, from your pores. That the collapsing of those things is happening digestively, and that your consciousness is working the same thing. There's a mouth up here. The eye is a wound. That wound is bleeding the world out. It's drinking the world, and it's pretty potent. It's pretty potent. Alex Jones is wrong about there being a globalist agenda. Are there people that want you to embrace globalism? Yes. Does that mean that they're the evil ones? No. You need to look at who's unconscious. And more importantly, you need to look locally. You need to look who around you is hunting you down. Who around you is cannibalizing you. And more importantly, you need to, I think, start to look through the facade, because I want you to unmoor yourself from the comfort that you get from what others are feeding you. If you can learn how to not drink that milk because it's urine, you'll start to see things like the fallacy of Nuremberg. There's a fallacy of Nuremberg. 50 million civilians died in World War II. These would be innocent people that did not enroll, and only 200 people were punished for it. 200. That's it. Out of those 200, only 10 were punished by the state. 10. Nuremberg is a fallacy because it's one of the most limpest forms of justice you've ever seen. Do I think we should go round up these people and kill them? No, I think they're too powerful. I think most of them work here now. Most of them came over here and said, we're going to build a star fort over here. These guys are stupid. We got more land over here. Let's do it over here. And that same kind of energy is needed by the Aztec culture, by Amuraka, that runs on the blood of this thing. So you need that. And the war machine took off. Why? Because America found a home. The spirit of America found a home in that. And that's why you're seeing the Nazism come up now, too, because it's just the same spirit. It's a justification of what it takes to survive. Why do we need blood? Is it because we're sick? Is it because we're psychopathic? No, it's because you're living inside your own body, and the brain is the most caloric engine in the world, and it has 2 lobes, a blue lobe and a red lobe. And these lobes are competing for resources in your body because your lungs are only oxygenating so much of the vital resource that they need. So the blood-brain barrier is the climbing up of that pyramid. The sacrifice of that blood is the giving of blood from one lobe to another. And when you're grown up in a bicameral mind where your 2 lobes are separated and you're listening to audio hallucinations from each other, you're going to create a religious system that's based on 2 parties, that's based on 2 ideals, that's based on 2 religions. Alex Jones didn't tell you that. No one on Twitter is telling you that. And when I tell people on Twitter, no one gives a shit. No one listens because it's too complex, it's too congealed, it's too whatever. But I am always fucking right. I am. I'm sorry. I would have quit this if I would have been more like, well, I was wrong about that. I was wrong about that. I was wrong about that. I'm compassionating the world. It's not even correct to say I'm right. I'm just simply compassionating it. I'm using my pathos to just see, hey, wait, this is probably something here. And one of those somethings is Nuremberg. Is that we would pose these bodies in these photos to show, see, justice is done. But most of the justice happened outside of court. Illegal justice. 3 documented incidents of mob justice in World War II. This is not an exhaustive list, but Chinogny massacre, January 1945. U.S. troops step into a prisoner of war camp. The conditions are so horrible that they just kill every soldier there, completely breaking the peace treaty, the rules of war, violating every single war crime that's ever been established. I'm not here to tell you it's wrong or right. I'm here to tell you that the Nuremberg trial was supposed to, hey, there's horrible war crimes happening. We should convict those. Meanwhile, 80 people are summarily killed through a post-war execution during peacetime. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying to you that the justice came through the people. Out of all the people that were officially punished, and it wasn't much, like I said, 50 million innocent people who did not agree to the war died, and 200 people were punished. Out of those 200 people, 20 of those people were punished through non-judicial, non-legal means. People did it. Mob justice did it. And these 3 instances are only 3. You know it had to be a lot more. It had to be a lot more. Dachau Liberation Reprisal, April 1945, 35 to 50 SS guards killed by U.S. troops and liberated prisoners. How could you not? The Biscari Massacre, July 1947, 73 Axis POWs killed by U.S. troops. Just on the spot. Just like, dude, we can't handle it. We're not going to sit there and be nice to you. We're not going to feed you and clothe you and treat you for lice. We're going to just fucking shoot you, and we're going to feel better. And we're not going to stand trial for that because we're human. That's why. And we're going to have a trial because that's the ritual that enough people need to just feel subdued, to allow the resonance, that frequency that's coming from the shell, the turtle shell, from the earth itself. The effect is allowed to subside. We need lies. We need propaganda like this to deal with the lies and the propaganda that we distribute into the system, right? It's a mob justice. This guy's smiling. He's happy about it. And you know, this is really more flower war. I don't think it's necessarily sick. I think that if you were to witness certain things, I watched someone get executed over social media. I'm like, what, 1,000, 1,400 miles away? And it affects me. Affects me so much. I stop writing about our Gilgamesh stuff. I go into just thinking about other stuff. I'm lit by it. I'm awake by it. I'm watching the people. More importantly, I'm watching the fucking Alex Jones crowd that want to sit there and push chemtrails all day long. And hey, we could talk about chemtrails. It's fine. But I'm saying, if you're going to push that shit every single day and put fear into the system every single day and insist that everyone around you squeeze their sphincter and shut down every single form of perception that they can possibly imagine because you want them to think that the sky itself is being poisoned in the most inefficient, retarded way I've ever heard, by the way. And then the one day where something happens like this, where a public execution happens, watching you practice apathy, watching you say that I fell for a trick, that I fell for the fucking trick, because I'm moved by this, but I'm not moved by your chemtrails, is disgusting, my friends. That is gross, gross behavior. I want to hunt that down. I want to put red and white blood on me. I want to go Versapellis overnight and come drink the blood in your throats, because you are the problem. You're the one. Because if more people were compassionate about this, less of these things would happen. And it brings us into the fact that, guys, Gaia is teaching you. You are growing in this system. And I know a lot of us don't like to think about it, but you're growing. And the ignorance comes in through our ignorance of utopia and dystopia. I swear this is bigger and more important than you think. First of all, utopia means non-place. It means nowhere. It means place that does not exist. Yet still, this word has been romanticized as a perfection, as a place that's perfect. Oh my God, Utopia. Oh, Utopia. My Topia and your Utopia don't actually exist because it's actually in the definition. It means nowhereness. And this nowhereness has a bad tinge. It's the worst of the nowhereness, and we call that dystopia. The bad version of Utopia is an actual place, which means dystopia is actually real. Dystopia is the realness that exists when Utopia goes wrong. You have the perfection of God, then you have the quaternion identity. Damn it, James, stop saying that word. But you have the quaternion identity of you. The perfection of God allows the omphalos for you to define yourself. And you get to say things like, hey, I'm not a piece of shit, or hey, I'm kind of a piece of shit. And that both those things are part of your identity and your quaternion identity. James, can you convert that to Euler? Yeah. Sorry, I'm not even going to make that joke. The dystopian is the bad version of the utopian. I think a lot of us really like to think about falsely. The Alex Jones crowd's going to tell you it's a Cacotopia. Cacotopia. Like, Cacotopia. I told myself I'd be cooler. Cacotopia. The wickedest place by every measure. A cacophony does not require belief in Utopia. Actually, it's Cacotopia does not require belief in Utopia. Sorry, this is spelling mistake. The ideal is replaced with the challenge of how wicked can we go. Do you see the difference? Utopia is non-place. Dystopia is what we get when we want utopia. Cacotopia is, hey, what can we get if we try and make this worse? If we add chemtrails, if we insert the evilness all around, if we make it eviler, then our Cacotopia will be this place that will escape our pain that we feel from not having utopia. And I'm just like, that needs to go outside. We need to shoot that thing in the head. I'm sorry. We need to show mercy on that. And this is most of the conspiracy crowd. This is most of the people that are in the soul trap. They are trying to make it wickeder because it's a creative act. This is crayons, my friend. And it brings us back, I think, to the true nature of why we're here, what this means. Before I move on, I hope I don't lose you here, but I want you to think about dystopia is really more a measure of resolution. That the more real society gets, the more dystopian it would have to be. That honestly, the more that people complain about this world, I would argue with you it's because the resolution of the world is growing, which means the quality of the world is growing. And when I say the quality of the world is growing, this isn't necessarily... qualia does not mean everything feels good. Qualia is the depth of immersion that you have into an event, right? Your depth of immersion. Of immersion into that thing. This is the dystopia. It is the difference between 256 and 0 versus 1.5 million and 0. This is how colors work. RGB color. Reds in 0 and 255. That's 255 shades of red, 255 shades of green, 255 shades of blue gives you a certain color spectrum. Now, instead of 255, let's bump that up to 1.5 million. The resolution there changes. You're seeing colors, or some of you will see colors that others will not. The color blindedness is really more of a color acceptance. Do you accept that this is a different shade of green? If so, you can call it blue, but until you're ready, you better call it green. Same for red and green. If you cannot distinguish between those colors, there is a psychological choice. And it could be an advantage. I think it could be a massive advantage. Keep in mind that horses are some of the most empathic animals in the world, and they choose to be colorblind. I can't prove they choose, but pleomorphically, I think, through cellular adaptation, they choose to see within a certain spectrum. Same with dogs. And it seems like a lot of animals, I know I'm getting way off track here, but a lot of animals will actually choose to hinder a certain shade. And I think it's because they will use that shade then to hallucinate more color. And you do the same. The fewest color codes that you have are blue. And the same world that people see chemtrails is the same place in your mind that hallucinates the most. Believe it or not, most of your hallucination that your mind gives you is in the sky. And we know this because of blue. The sky is too blue to associate with the amount of blue cones we have. You paint that sky blue. You paint that sky with chemtrails. And the more fear you have, the more fear you listen to, the more you are going to paint that sky a Cacotopia. 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 Let's do a quick little dance, okay? Cacotopia. We got Cacotopia. Cacotopia. There's Dystopia. And then there's Utopia. And then there's Cacotopia, my friends. And we're getting better. This is growing. Our resolution's growing because things suck more. Don't you get it? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. You're watching James True Live. Hope you're enjoying yourself. I'm enjoying yourself. This is why Dystopia is more popular. It's more popular because it sucks more. It sucks more the same way if you were playing a video game and you're just like, dude, those zombies are hard as fuck. I've never seen zombies this hard. It's like, and that creeped me out, dude. They're so creepy. They're so creepy. This is Dystopia. This is Dystopia unfurling on the stage because your resolution has grown. But here's the good news. James, why are you saying there's good news with the fruits of evil? The fruits of evil is the good news. The reason why I know Alex Jones is wrong, this is why. This is why. It's the fruits of evil. First of all, I want to remind you real quick that the skin turners is a psychological phenomenon that was predicted by an early rudimentary mind that somehow sensed that it was wearing the skin of someone else. This is the image of Zippy Toe Tech. This, you would wear this ritual skin for like 2 weeks. You'd sleep in it. You would become this creature. And that I think this fruit of evil shows the psychological desire for one lobe to meet the other, for one face to meet the other, for one part of the brain to find the other. And that there is a trellis, a pyramid of psychological layers that have been defined by a primitive mind. And that primitive mind is giving us clues into what that's like. Every 20 days is the day of the flint. I think I discussed this on the show, but the idea is the flint is shoved into the tongue and the tongue bleeds. Every 20 days you would do this. And if you're competing, if you're trying to keep your mind alive, if you're trying to keep your phonological loop really strong, you're going to constantly be wanting to give it super intense limbic input, especially if you were growing up in Atlanta Jaguars. That's not going to hurt. But this idea that the mind needs to be saturated, it needs to be fulfilled, is really the call of Babylon. And that call of Babylon, I think, is working because you see these different layers of the psyche forming. These are layers of the psyche, layers of consciousness, building themselves around each other. And you have it too. Your egoic field has this exact same kind of makeup. And as we grow, as we become stronger, ladies and gentlemen, as we become psychologically stronger, that these layers start to become more easily seen and more easily understood. And if you forgive me for a moment, I just need to quickly add a slide in here that's supposed to go right here. And it's just this, but it's translated into English so you guys can just better understand just how simple, how ubiquitous this is. This doesn't require any esoteric knowledge. This doesn't require you going to any temple. This is just you looking at yourself and understanding who and what you actually are. Right there. Slideshow. You have these fields around you. These fieldings, we like to call them on this show fieldings, but that you have this elemental field. You're beyond your physical field. There's an electrical field around your body. Outside of your electrical field, you have a sexual field in your body. You're emanating certain color cones that the codons are being expressed about your genitals, your age, your fertility, your where you are in your ovulation. All these things are transmitted through vibration, through color, through, you and I would call it smell, but it's the same thing. And so this layer of the psyche, you would slowly sense, you would develop gods, like you'd worship Mem in Egypt, this giant black dude with a huge boner. You'd have Priapus, all the stuff we talk about with Priapus. You'd have this obelisk sort of religion. Then you'd have this obelisk religion that would then invert itself. That St. Peter was crucified upside down, that the shaming of the Priapus was the birth of Christianity because it's the ability to say no. And this would be the emergence of your emotional layer, this emotional layer that you have around you where you feel guilt. And I remind you that most saints are famous because they endured a lot of pain because of all the guilt they felt, and that they were venerated because of how they dealt with guilt. Oh, you ripped your skin off like bacon because you felt guilty. I praise you. I worship you. This is the truth. And look at what's next. You have the egoic field. Look at the war we have on the ego right now, just that word. Look at the tyranny we fear from what we call strong egoic nature, which I think honestly is weak egoic nature, but we're still learning those things. And then you have the healthy human that has a casual field on top of this casual field where despite the fact that you could kill someone, you're functioning in a very casual way. That you're sitting at a desk or you're driving a big truck. You could literally rip someone's face off and eat their liver for lunch, but you don't. You're in a casual field. And then on top of that casual field, that sort of civil field, you might call it, you have a task field. You have a job. Well, I'm driving this truck, or I'm operating this forklift, or I'm writing this book, or I'm playing this song, or whatever it is. You have a task field and an identity around you that expresses itself in a calligraphy. Not just how you move your body, but how you emanate. Do you emanate creativity? If you're inside a certain task, inside a certain casualness, inside a certain ego, inside a certain emotion, inside a certain sexuality, inside a certain elemental presence, your task becomes art, becomes beautiful. And it doesn't stop there because you have an ancestor task. You have this lifelong memory that you're something else, that the field's even larger and that field goes back in time, and that these things are just your conscientious understanding of who you are, that you are wearing skin the same way Versipellis did in Rome, the werewolf in Rome, the same way these Aztec Zippy-Toe-Tech characters did. Templo Mayor was a reflection of what was happening inside everyone's mind, and they were not aware of how the brain works, not in the way we did, I should say. And that their awareness of this was expressed in what I like to call an oracle mythology, something else that I've been right about a lot, sorry, but it's true, that this oracle mythology is showing you this is how the fucking world works. This has to be how the world works. Pheromones in a field, yes, pheromones in a field. Genre user, the only reason why I don't use the word pheromone is because chemosignal is technically a little bit more accurate. A lot of people don't like the word chemo, so it's like I've been working on that. I'm always working on language with you guys, and that's why I think compassionate is a verb. Things like that. Nothing wrong with coronal pheromones. I'm just saying technically it's chemosignals, little color markers, believe it or not. I think if you really want to understand what the body's smells are, I think you need to look at yourself as having a coat of many colors. And the coat is smell, but these smells are chemosignatures. And really, when you look at what a chemosignal is it's just a spinning electron. It's a spinning algorithm, an elemental amino acid, an algorithm, something that's been evaporated from the body, a chemical mist. But that mist really does boil down to just a conglomeration, the way it's been joined together, the way it's been coiled. So it's color coils. And we smell the musk of each other's color coils. And these color coils are really just the codons, and the codons are just your genes, which means really you're giving yourself away every moment. People wear perfume. They try and alter their appearance. They try and wear clothes. I try and wear clothes to purposely cover up certain of my codons. I want you to have a certain perception of who I am, because I too am a skin living inside of a skin living inside of a skin. Fieldings. Nothing more than fieldings. This is really, I think, a better way of understanding yourself. You're constantly building an antenna of shape, and that shape is your auric smell. Think about the colors are performing a shape, and that shape is an antenna, and that antenna is collecting other smells. People see your smell, and they see that because in their mind they have an ideal color shape, and the antenna in the world that's closest to them meets it. This is how roses work. Believe it or not, you will see roses from 200 yards away, and the vividness of the rose is hallucinated in your brain because the vessel that you live in is more prone to hallucination than it is to simple visual stimulation. That is your ability to hallucinate what's in the environment, which is telling you much more about what is true, which is why I think you should throw objectivism out the window and really start to look at this world as much more personal than we think. The main meat of why I say the fruits of evil, on top of all these consciousnesses, keep in mind that if there was a true globalism that wanted to enslave you, I think we would be slaves. And a slave, you know what the one trait of every good slave is contentment. The fact that you do not have contentment is probably the biggest proof that Alex Jones is full of shit. That all the fearmongers that are surrounding you, trying to sell you on the Loosh Farm idea, are full of fucking shit. And the reason why they're full of shit is because you're discontent. Your discontentment is a part of these emotional fields that allows you to feel this could be better. The fact that you feel this could be better is the most dangerous force in the world. It makes you the most lethal opponent on the map because you have entitlement. You believe you deserve more. And that's not going to fucking fly with slaves. And that if we are so programmed, if it's so easy to gaslight us because we're that stupid, and that we're so fooled that we have to blame all of our problems on a certain sect of people, whether it be a Jew or a transsexual or whatever the fuck else it is, that it's breaking the illusion that all of these things are much more manipulative than we think, and allows you to stay in a state of sheep, turn into wolf, and never have to admit a thing. But the universe is telling you opposite. Every society that's had slavery is an upwardly mobile culture. The second it stops to be upwardly mobile, it collapses. That's just history. You can look it up. But there's more proofs. Conscientious objection is one of these proofs. Before 1863, this idea would not have been acceptable. You could not sit there and say, I conscientiously object to your war. And even in 1863, it was nearly impossible. That there's only a few certain religious groups that sort of had the credentials to showcase why they were not allowed to commit violence on behalf of a state. This is one of the biggest emergences that this is not a globalist slave market, is that conscientious objection appeared inside the psychology. This is another fielding. It is an emotional cosmology, an orbit that emanates around you. This orbit that emanates around you is a belief that you're allowed to conscientiously object. How do you think you got this belief if you're living in a prison planet? The answer is the warden gave it to you. Why is the warden giving you all the tools you need to look at yourself, the situation you're in, to want more, and to feel worthy of wanting more too? Why would we have laws that are slowly slipping? Why is the sovereign movement becoming more tangible, more plausible? After 1863, Selective Service Act of World War I, conscientious objection formally recognized in federal law. It still took 50 years. And it took even more than that, because even in World War I, you had people, this happened in Britain a lot, the white feather movement. Women would parade through the streets looking for men that were not wearing uniforms, and would give them a white feather to showcase that they were a coward. The conscientious objector was ridiculed before it emerged as a natural form of conscientiousness, of selfness, so to speak. Selective Training and Service Act of 1940 expanded conscientious objection to establish an alternative civilian service. So they're still going to take you, but they're not going to make you kill someone. This is a huge move, and it's getting more, not less. Conscientious objection was not bred out of the system. It was actually encouraged. In fact, you would argue that all the World War did is took all the people that were dumb enough to put on a uniform and shoot anyone else that was wearing a different uniform and remove those from the equation. But we're insisting those are the heroes, and the reason why we're insisting those are the heroes is because of the Death Star Fort. The Death Star Fort is the only thing that's keeping us together. It's our largest employer. It's our largest office building. We can't stop war. We can't stop war. We will just simply find a way to justify it. America has invaded foreign land over 400 times. Over 400 times. Defense Department has invaded foreign land over 400 times. So our system is getting more dystopian. It's becoming more violent. But so too is our conscience subjected to it. This has been happening since Vietnam. Vietnam was really a push, right? Some of the bravest men in the world came back and said, I hate this. I'm burning my medals. I hate this. And they were met with some of the worst calls, militant leftists, but worse back then because this psychology emerged from the skin of a dead carcass. Welsh versus United States, 1970, court further clarified that explicitly non-religious beliefs qualify too, that it doesn't have to be religion. See, it snuck in, this psychology snuck in onto the backs of religion. And thank God, because there's a pun, but thank God, because it'd be the only way you could sneak this contraband in. Be the only way. You're sneaking a joint into church, and this is it. And that joint is conscientious objection. 1965, United States versus Seeger. Supreme Court rules that objections do not need to be traditionally religious. Again, cementing that psychology is enough, that man has enough autonomy to conscientiously object. This goes against every fiber of every single thing that Alex Jones has taught you. It breaks the bond of everything when you've been told that the people there are evil. Anyone that's rich is evil. I don't know if you noticed that, but it's true. That the second that you sell out, you're instantly evil, because as soon as you have money, you have to be evil. And why would you have to be evil if you have money? Because you're in a cult that worships failure. You're in a cult that worships subversion. You're in a cult that is fighting the movement into something broader because they are rejecting the different psyches that are forming around them. The fields are too loud. The fields are too loud, so we will suppress the shame and guilt. We will turn these into negative terms because the negative terms make us feel better. It makes us feel like this is wrong. We don't deserve this. This is a kind of inflammation. If you think about all your beliefs, guys, as a form of immunity, your immune system is vibrating. And all the beliefs that you have are like another orbit, another shell of color that's been built around you. That color, the chemo signal of I believe in God. That chemo signal of I don't believe in God. That chemo signal of they're coming to take me away. That chemo signal of they're coming to take me away. Haha. All of these things are cosmological immunity. Your placebo is shaping your ego into a certain shape, and that shape you take out in public, and people throw snowballs at it. They throw worse things at it. And you either recover or you reduce. A lot of us reduce. A lot of us would say, I can't handle this. I don't want this much responsibility. And so you have a culture that has more responsibility than we are exercising. But the world's been giving you more. Gaia's been giving you more because we have jury nullification. Guys, this is the most primary example of power that you could ever imagine. Jury nullification, quite simply, is the idea that laws are nothing without people, that the people are the law. And this goes against every single thing you've ever been taught because you've been ingrained to believe in the paper. The scroll is an ancient Roman thing, and people in Rome would walk around with their scroll and be like, look, I have my scroll, so I'm valid. And that's really all the Constitution's doing. This is the land of freedmen. Keep in mind, half of Rome was slaves, and they developed the slogan, we're the land of freedmen. Jury nullification proves that people are the ultimate law. Under jury nullification, the jury can say, I don't care it's a law. I don't care how much evidence you have. I don't care if he's guilty of all the evidence you have. I think it's a stupid law. The guy gets to go home. This is veto. The people have a veto. The only restriction we have is that we're forcing that we have to find 12 other people to do this. But acquittals, you can't find someone guilty unless everyone agrees. This is the original Iroquois Confederacy as jury nullification. Believe it or not, government used to have built into it a veto for everyone. If you don't agree with what the government's doing, don't fucking participate. Don't do it. We changed that into, hey, if enough of us agree, then everyone will be inscripted and enlisted into doing this. This is why you have a lot of jackasses that are like, Lincoln is a hero that kept it. Lincoln was a fucking dictator that imprisoned 300 people. 300 newspaper people to suppress information that was getting out because the people wanted a veto. States wanted a veto. This is ultimately what states' rights is a veto. And it failed because the people were not ready for that power the same way they're not ready for jury nullification. Most people don't even know this. 1735, the trial of John Peter Zenger. A colonial jury acquits a printer charged with seditious libel against the governor despite clear violation of the law. The jury was smart then. They're like, we don't give a shit. We don't care. Yeah, it's seditious. Yeah, it's libel. We don't care. It makes sense to us, they say. It's not wrong, is what they say. They nullified what the court said. 1794, Georgia versus Brailsford. Chief Justice John Jay explicitly tells jurors they have the right to judge both law and fact, openly acknowledging the jury as a moral organ. He doesn't have a choice. John Jay regretted saying this. He said, it pains me to tell you how this works. And he knew that the psyche of the country wasn't ready for this. And he wasn't the only one. That was in 1794, but in 1895, Sparf versus United States, Supreme Court rules that judges are no longer required to inform juries of their power to nullify. This marks the institutional suppression of jury sovereignty. The power was there. The power is given there. You have the power. We've asked our judges to tell us to lie to us. This is true. It's actually legally allowed to lie to you about that. And that a juror can be thrown out if they say jury nullification out loud. It is such a sacrilegious necessity because all law would be deemed invalid without it. And none of us know this law. People are terrified of this law. You'll get someone that goes into a jury, knows this law, and is still too scared to say it because the bailiff looks at him funny. And it's the same kind of mentality that tells you, well, I'm not a lawyer. Guys, the Constitution was not written for lawyers. The Constitution was not written for lawyers. It was written for non-lawyers. And it has very, very clear ideals. And those ideals express a stronger sense of sovereign power than we are exercising now. And honestly, it's a testament to how much the globalists are giving us. The globalists are giving us all this power, and we're using it to fight them because we don't want it. This is the Alex Jones truth, is that people don't want it. I don't want to be responsible if someone gets shot in the face and I'm moved by it. I'd rather follow someone who shows me how much cooler I am by not being moved. And that'll teach the globalists I won't be moved by this. I will be compliant. That'll show them. Courts increasingly punish open acknowledgement and nullification today. Education about it is treated as a disruption. Again, it's not lawful. It's because it's a real legitimacy. That's a fruit of evil. A fruit of the emergence of the psyche. That emergence is painful. It causes a lot of people to freak out. Their eye shuts. They see less. The less they see, the more comfortable they feel, because that's why you would see less. You would need to see less. If you wanted to be more comfortable, you'd start to look for others to verify the same vision that you have, right? All these things. These are the fruits of labor. And the third fruit of evil, I think, is protest. A perfect example of Minneapolis. As I said, every single person in this cabinet is spoiling the milk of every tentacle that's connected to anyone watching Washington. It's the greatest apocalypse ever. This is so great that this is happening. And it looks horrible, it looks evil, but all it is emergence. We're emerging from the dead skin of something else that we thought we were putting it on, but it turns out it's ourselves. And it's the only way we can express it. You do not get to say that we have to fight the globalists. You need to worry about the fearmongers, but don't worry too much because you won't be able to see them. It's primal, simple lessons. It really is. It's good stuff. Hope you enjoyed today. I've got some new articles out. You can check those out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Appreciate you so much. If you haven't subscribed to James True, it'd be great. It'd be wonderful if you consider sharing this episode. I know it's probably not going to be such a popular thing when you show this idea to other people, but I think that the more we relax, the more we see who the enemy is. And I think that that enemy is pollinatable, but we have to understand who and what it is and who and what's on our side. And there's a lot of information that's on your side. There's a lot of psychological things that prove that you're advancing. And if you're advancing, that's completely the opposite of a prison planet mentality. It just doesn't work that way. So thank you much. Let me know what you think in the comments. See you next time. James True Live.